It is Powwow.
The Powwow with Mo podcast.
What up, and welcome to episode 15 of the Powwow with Mo podcast. I'm Mo.
I am Powwow.
All right, and this will be like our New Year's Eve episode.
Yes.
We were going to do it last week, and then Christmas plans got in the way.
Yeah.
We had to skip a week. So, Powwow, I'm sure a lot happened. I have almost nothing for current events. So, what are some current events?
I have actually quite a few things. So this one happened a little over a week ago, but there was an Amtrak in Washington that was going 81 miles an hour around a curve when it was apparently supposed to be 30 miles an hour, which ended up killing 3 people, injuring multiple other people. It shut down I-5 where it derailed, and it just looks like a horrific accident.
Yeah, I was still at work, so I've been off for 2 weeks because my new job's cool like that for the holidays, and I was still at work when this happened, so I actually did see the news with that, and it was its inaugural run, so it was the first time it ever ran, and my whole thought the whole time was, I know for a fact there are programs where you can do computer modules of, like, what happens, you put in all your stuff, like Roller Coaster Tycoon had that technology.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know that exists, so it just seems like they would have known. Unless maybe someone, like, if it was 80 instead of 30, maybe they just saw an 8 and thought it was a 3, like someone needed glasses. I don't know.
But there's no way you can go, we're going to go around this turn at 81 miles an hour.
Right, I feel like
being a driver.
It either had to be completely on purpose. Mm-hmm. Like, we're wrecking this motherfucker.
Or someone was fucked up trying to drive.
Right, yeah. It's crazy. I recently got Persona 5 for Christmas, and that's, like, part of the sideline story of these subway drivers are driving so fast and keep wrecking.
Yeah.
I'm not that far into the game yet, so I don't know what's going to happen, but reminds me of that.
For sure. Let's see, something else that happened again, this was about a week ago or so. There was a DJ that was performing in Brazil. Unfortunately, he died that night. He was performing on a set when there were some strong winds and some storm clouds that were passing, and the stage collapsed and struck him in the head and killed the DJ in the middle of his concert or whatever you want to call it. They took him to the hospital to try to help him out and revive him, but he was pronounced dead by the time he got to the hospital. But that would just be like the biggest downer of all time.
Yeah.
Going to a thing, having a big old party, because I'm assuming they're raving it up at this point, and then big strong winds. Again, if you're outside doing a DJ, the number one thing I think you would want to look at is the weather.
Yeah.
And go, they've got 60 mile an hour winds. We probably should have a tall stage for me to be sitting on, which is probably made out of, I don't know, some extra lumber that was laying around.
Right.
And then this collapse, and it is terrible that he died because of that, but to me it seems like there should have been a few other precautionary measures taken prior to doing it.
My thought, and it's not the most empathetic, is if I was a DJ, I would almost have no outside venues because I feel like you can't control the sound quality at all.
Yeah.
Outside, it all sounds shitty.
For sure.
So I would try to hold myself to a higher standard there.
For sure.
I saw this thing. It's not a current event, but I saw it this week. I think the original article actually came out in August of 1996, but I thought it was pretty cool. It was on Reddit.
All right.
So the headline is, an invisible electrostatic wall at the 3M adhesive tape plant. So basically what happened here was David Swinson of 3M Corporation, and I'm pretty sure they just make like tape because I've seen that little 3M symbol in a lot of places, but I've never thought about it until I read this. Described an anomaly where workers encountered a strange invisible wall in the area under a fast-moving sheet of electrically charged polypropylene film in a factory. This invisible wall was strong enough to prevent humans from passing through. A person near this wall was unable to turn and had to walk backwards to retreat from it.
Are you telling me we just created a force field?
Not just. This was 20 years ago.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you tell me, like, this,
all right.
20 years ago we created a force field. We haven't been able to figure out how to use it around, I don't know, any of our military aircraft.
Well, they probably have, actually.
That's
true. It says this occurred in the late summer in South Carolina, August 1980, in an extremely high humidity polypropylene film on 50,000-foot rolls, 20 foot wide, was being slit and transferred to multiple smaller spools. The film was taken off the main roll at high speeds, flowed upward 20 feet to overhead rollers, passed horizontally 20 feet, and then downward to the slitting device, where it was spooled into shorter rolls. This whole operation formed a cubicle-shaped tent with 2 walls and a ceiling approximately 20 square feet. The spools ran at 1,000 feet a minute, or about 10 miles per hour. And then the film had been manufactured with dissimilar surface structure on opposing faces. So somehow all of this stuff made this electromagnetic wall in this factory in 1980.
And again, this is the 80s.
Yeah.
That has happened. I've never heard about this until now. I don't see how this isn't something that is some major news.
I just don't know how that wasn't, like, how I haven't seen it on.
That's what I'm saying is.
What's that one show I watch all the time? The, like, Not at the Museum or something at the museum, and it's just that random dude. And it's like, here's 3 random things you've never heard of, and he tells you about them.
Again, why didn't we hear this in science class? I don't know, physics, robotics, anything that we took.
We were born.
I mean, it's a little crazy to me that this has not been brought up until now, because that seems like an awesome idea to have. And this is just making tape, I'm assuming, or something that they're trying to make. Is that what it is?
It sounds like, it's some sort of tape or maybe saran wrap, some substance.
And that's all it took to make it.
Some plastic shit and rollers. I don't know.
That seems pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that and was like, well, that's pretty cool. And I think the picture got me because it made it look like it was a bubble encompassing the whole factory.
I mean, could you imagine if you were the one person in the middle of all that when it was running and you can't fucking leave that area?
Yeah.
Because if you take square feet, it's not very big.
I've been hearing some crazy stories. There's a factory here in town that I've heard of people working at, and it sounds horrific. Like, I guess some guy lost his arm, and it's like super dangerous, and like the only thing, their safety valve is like this little wire that you have to remember to attach to you so that if you fall into it, it'll pull a wire to shut off the machine. But
that seems like a really dumb, dumb precautionary measure there.
This guy I work with used to work at this factory and was telling me this stuff, and I was like, nope. They get paid like minimum wage.
Yeah, there's a no.
No way.
So this has been brought up a few times on our podcast about John Gruden.
Yeah.
Well, there are now more and more reports where he is not going to be coming back to ESPN. He may be taking over the Raiders' head football coaching, which is crazy, which means Jack Del Rio's out.
A lot of people think he might be.
But, I mean, look what happened this year.
See, I thought a lot of people were leaning that he's somehow going to be at the Bucs because he has a home there and everything.
So this came out today that he has been trying to get in touch with Rich Gannon to be his quarterback coach in Oakland.
Ah, interesting.
And he has also been contacting multiple other former players and coaches to try to build up his coaching staff. To me, you don't take that measure unless you know you're going back to coaching.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I've heard of the whole staff thing. I just didn't know about the Raiders.
Yeah, that was, I read that today, and now that also, to the flip side of that, means he's going to no longer be Monday Night Football analyst.
Well, he's honestly been checked out lately. Anytime I've seen him.
Well, I mean, since he got that new guy this year.
Well, I heard Bill Simmons already talking about this, and I just want to believe it. Where he was like, if you listen to Steve Kerr's last year, all of a sudden he quit being critical of people. He just loved that guy. He's like, because he knew he was about to get back into it. He's not trying to make enemies. And like, so John Gruden's kind of doing the same thing lately, where it's just every time, I love that quarterback. Love him. And he's just never going to be mean about it.
For sure.
So
it is, I mean, but they're talking about, who could fill his spot. Jay Cutler is still poised to join, Fox, the number 2 team, if he doesn't get grabbed by another team for $10 million or something stupid that he's not worth. Then they were also talking about 3 other big names, Peyton and Eli and Larry Fitzgerald. But the current analyst that's on there with John Gruden that took over this year, Sean McDonough, I think is his name, that bald guy.
Yeah.
They're talking about they're going to be removing him. To me, I'm not a fan of him since he joined that. He is very dull and dry. And
I mean, he's a play-by-play.
Exactly.
And you're also the color guy.
Mike Tirico is a play-by-play, and I could listen to him all day long.
Yeah, well, there's certain people that can do a one-man show. Same like with podcasts. Like, there's certain, like Bill Simmons can do a one-person podcast, an hour long, and you're like, yeah. Because he talks to, like, the audience, like, that's his other person or whatever. And then other people, if they try to do it by themselves, sound horrible. And then some people aren't good with 2, Or
exactly.
Like there's a whole, kind of like, we used to listen, like, watch Mike and Mike, but then you'd watch The Herd. And it's like, it was just different. One was one guy and one's 2 people.
And it was
kind of the same with sports announcing, I think.
For sure. But yeah, I am kind of excited to see where he goes to. Another thing on the football news that's happening today with the Patriots and Jets game. I mentioned this earlier to you before we started, and I think it's hilarious. The Bill Belichick is trolling the Jets by putting thermometers in their hallway out to the field to remind them, because at kickoff it's expected to be -2 with the wind chill.
Right.
And so he's putting their thermometers all up and down their tunnel exit so they can realize they're going to be freezing their asses off when they're going out and playing this game. But again, I understand that, but you're the New York Jets. It's cold-ass weather all the time anyway.
Right.
But
I know,
it is,
they're right there. So.
But -2, that's freaking cold, man.
I mean, it is, but like my favorite football game of all time was in 6th grade whenever it was like a sleet of ice we played on. And my favorite games we ever played was when it was super cold.
Yeah, I mean, as a player, it's really not that bad.
Right.
Now, as a fan sitting out in the stands, that's some cold shit.
Yeah.
But I think that's quite funny.
I did see where, Puerto Rico, like half of the country's still without power.
Yes.
And it's been a really long time, so that's crazy. And no one really talks about it at all.
It's because no one really cares
Yeah.
here to mention anything, unfortunately.
Well, something will happen where it's like Disneyland lost power for whatever hours. How dare this happen in America? And it's like Puerto Rico is America, and they haven't had power for months.
Because, yeah, it's a little nuts to me that we just continue to just go, sorry, guys, even though you pay us taxes and you're pretty much a state, we're not going to help you out because you're not technically a 51st state.
Yeah, and I also did see the thing where, the day after Trump tweeted he was going back to work, he was on a golf course.
Of course, he's on the golf course half the time anyways.
One of my favorite, I think I mentioned this to you the other day when I saw you, one of my favorite new things on Reddit is a subreddit called Trump Criticizes Trump. And all it is old Trump tweets from like when Obama was president of like, he's working on Christmas, spending however much money on Secret Service. And then it's like, Trump's done it like way worse. And
Way
it's like
worse.
everything it put, it's just great. I want to say like even the most conservative viewpoint of it, you have to at least say Trump had no idea what he was talking about being president before he was president. So whether he's had a wake up call and it's like, oh, this is how it has to work, or he's just a bullshitter. Like it's one of the two, right?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. I think he's had to have some wake up call like, dude, you're the president. You've got to do the shit correctly. And also, I think he just bullshits a lot.
Right.
Speaking of Trump, the amount of memes that are going around of him taking drinks like a small child is the funniest stuff in the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're good.
how as an adult do you have to have two hands, puck your lips out, barely tip the glass up to get yourself a drink?
Honestly, for me, I'd rather just spill it on me.
Exactly.
But, I mean, that's a problem I have where I want to look cool doing stuff. So I just don't do stuff if I don't think I can do it in a cool looking way.
I mean, I guess at least you can say he's got confidence because he doesn't care.
Well, when you're 70 years old with dementia, it's hard to care about things.
It's a little nuts. Something that I seen actually happen this morning was a Houston man was arrested.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that one up.
Because he had a small arsenal of weapons in his Hyatt Regency hotel room that he had ahead of the massive New Year's Eve celebration that would have happened outside.
And honestly,
of it.
I don't think stories like that are ever going to get enough notice,
Agreed.
right? Like that they stopped something that could have been really horribly wrong, and that's not going to get near the praise it would if you compare it to the reaction it would got if they didn't stop the guy. You know what I mean? Like it would be like this huge thing. Kind of like how the TSA hasn't really stopped any terrorists because they would have brought it up. Never have.
Agree. They've done nothing. They are legalized.
All the extra shit you got to do for nothing.
They are legalized sexual harassers.
Yep.
Definitely a job for Harvey Weinstein.
Being able to see your genitalia. I feel like that's against the trans community somehow.
Yeah, right. The last thing that I have is South Korea has been seizing ships that have been going to North Korea. As you know, that they've had an embargo for most areas because of the sanctions for shooting off the missiles. Well, this is the second one in the last 2 weeks, give or take, where it was a Panamanian vessel, flagged at least, they believe was illegally selling oil to North Korea, because again, you cannot sell products to them at this point.
Yeah.
But it was
I bet you make good money doing it, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's 5,100 metric tons of oil.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if no one else will sell to them, I'm sure you could.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just thinking it's worth it.
So, you know what? We're going to charge you $150,000 a barrel, and you're going to pay it.
Yeah, because what's going to do?
Yeah, you're not going to have it?
Guess what? Only like 10 of y'all motherfuckers use oil in the whole country. Everybody else fucking burning sticks and coal.
Exactly.
And shit.
So, I mean, and it was just last week that South Korea seized another one. Now, this one was from Hong Kong, which only makes that tension that much more high there in that area.
But Hong Kong and China are slightly different.
They are.
It's weird. I mean, China would claim all that shit's theirs. But like Taiwan, Hong Kong, Tibet, all those places are like, no, we're not.
Yep.
So like, I don't understand all their politics. I should probably learn more about it. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen there?
Yeah, because China says we didn't breach any of the United Nations sanctions. But yeah, I mean,
honestly, I think it's so funny that we're like, yeah, you better not break those sanctions, like as Americans in general. But then we have a president that's like, I'm going to break those fucking sanctions.
Exactly.
If they say something to me, and then people like cheer that. I don't know. It's weird.
It's, it's do as I say, not as I do type situation, which you can't do that as a president.
It kind of reminds me, yesterday, me and Kubi were coming home. We went to the movies, and someone with a Trump Pence bumper sticker is pulling into the La Fiesta Mexican restaurant up the road. And I'm just like, I love Mexican food. I love it.
But how can you go eat it when you...
And it's like, these people are like, build the wall. But y'all motherfuckers better make my food on Saturday afternoon. I don't even know how to understand it. I get it. Like, we have a friend who is in our fraternity who's Mexican, and he's like, all pro-Trump, Mexicans out, and you're like, what? And he's like, well, I'm here legally. I speak English well. And I'm like, I get it, man, but like, I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird.
I agree with you.
I'm like, if anyone wants a better life and they can do it, go
especially
for it.
down there. Anyway, I agree. So the last thing I have is that in California, the federal court ruled that a high school football player cannot be ordered to stand for the national anthem.
Saw that.
Which I still think it's crazy the amount of issues that are still being brought up regarding this matter. To me, this is getting more national attention than most of the things we have mentioned, which should be getting way more news coverage than what it's currently getting.
Right.
And it's honestly annoying to see this much. But this is why I bring it up, because it is, every time I get on the news, there's something about somebody kneeling for a protest. And again, of course, it's so bad that they do that.
Yeah, I mean, my hot take on it all is I think you should completely be allowed to do it, of course. Because I think you have that freedom as an American. Now, I do think as soon as conservatives or whoever you want to say perverted their kneeling to mean disrespecting troops, I think they should have said, we're not kneeling anymore. We're changing it up.
Yeah.
If that's what they think this means, and we're not doing it that, we're going to do something else. Because it isn't really working. Because right now, the people who support you are the people that supported you at the beginning.
Yeah.
It ain't changed many people's minds. I've talked to, two of the three people I work with that watch football. Two of them are like, I don't watch NFL anymore.
Because of it.
Because of protests, which I'm just like, I haven't really watched it this year because I think it's kind of been boring.
It has.
Even though my favorite team's finally good.
Made the fucking playoffs,
I
bro.
know.
Let's bring that up for just one quick second here. The Jacksonville Jaguars have made the playoffs for the first time since 2007. People gave them no chance at the beginning of this year. When they got Leonard Fournette, they go, okay, they have some chance because they've got Leonard Fournette. But they've still got Blake Bortles, and he's terrible. And I don't think that their defense got enough credit.
I mean, they're like up there with like the Ravens.
I mean, they are legit. Jalen Ramsey is legitimately one of the best lockdown corners.
I think they have the two best cornerbacks in football on the same team.
That is a very good argument.
Which is crazy. I mean, Jalen Ramsey's a lot more raw and athletic, but even he said in an interview that Boye, is how you pronounce his last name, how he's better than me.
Yeah,
because he knows more.
Jalen Ramsey, I give him another 2 or 3 years of being able to, have 24/7 football.
But he's awesome talking shit.
He cracks me up.
And in interviews, I take back what I said before. Remember that shower interview?
Yep.
Sounds a lot different now.
He does. I mean, whenever he was first on ESPN
He
earlier
used to
this
be
year,
like real flamboyant.
yeah, very. With his Canadian tuxedo, he was rocking
Right.
there. But anyway, sorry, I had to give them some praise because my Lions did not make the playoffs again this year. I do think Jim Caldwell's going to be out as a coach.
Yeah.
But I do believe Glover Quinn came out this week and they go, I think we're 3 key pieces away from not only being a playoff contender, but being in the NFC Championship contender. And I agree with you. I think that you need a running back that actually can run for more than 100 yards, I don't know, in 3 freaking weeks. You have Kevin Galladay, which is legit or Kenny Galladay, which is legit wide receiver, as long as he was healthy this year. And then I think you have to have some sort of interior defensive lineman like you had with Ndamukong Suh.
If I had to choose 3 things, they would all be on defense.
See, I wouldn't choose.
See, I think Detroit worries way too much about offense when it doesn't even matter because they get outscored.
I mean, their defense had the second most takeaways this year.
Yeah, but they always get outscored. They're always like down going into the fourth for the last couple of years. Like,
now, I mean, granted, a lot of that we've had. We finally had a Pro Bowl player in Darius Slay getting on the defensive side. He's a legit corner. You have Glover Quinn as a safety, which is legit. And then you
both
have
my fantasy team.
Huh?
I had both those guys on my fantasy team.
Yeah, I mean, they're both legit. Then you have Jared Davis as a new middle linebacker that we have. It's just the problem is that there is no pressure. You can watch almost every game. There is no pressure for 90% of those snaps from the defensive line. Ziggy Ansah is not what he was 2 years ago. We have nobody else that took over. Whenever Haloti Ngata got hurt this year, that was it. There went any sort of pass rush, even run defense was down. We were relying on our linebackers to stop it.
Yep.
You have to have a legitimate defensive line to be able to even be competitive in the playoffs. And I think if you even took 2 of those and got them on the defensive line, you'd be great. But in my opinion, without having a running back, you're going to consistently rely on Matt Stafford's arm, which is going to be there for quite some time. But what's going to happen is you're going to get into a Brett Favre.
I mean,
I
I
have
think,
as many interceptions
right.
as touchdowns.
Yeah, I just think that's how player is. He probably needs a little more structure around him. He's always injured.
He needs a John Gruden.
Yeah, needs something. Also, we have like Oklahoma is playing Georgia. Is that tomorrow?
That is tomorrow.
So it'll be the day before this podcast comes out, but that's like a big deal around here. I don't really pay attention to college sports much these days, but I'm sure I'll try to.
Did you see
some
Baker
of that.
Mayfield's thing where he came out?
I really like him and all of his energy. He seems really funny.
I've seen there's quite a few memes about this, about him saying, I'm sick this week, but it's not going to affect my gameplay. And people are like, yeah, just go ahead and set it up in case you lose. You've got a good excuse to fall back on.
Right.
But I don't think legitimately he would ever use that as an excuse because he is a very strong competitor.
Right.
He does remind me of like a 90 or an 80 style football player with his attitude.
He lives off the like people hate on me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's cool.
It's almost like Bill Romanowski's style of just I don't give a what anyone has to say.
Right. I'm also need to start watching college basketball because apparently OU has this new dude Trae Young who's like
a beast,
like gonna be like a top 5 lottery pick in the NBA next year.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, oh shit. Well, I need to watch this guy because apparently he's just really, really good.
Yeah.
So I might have to get into college sports. But the Thunder were on a good winning streak, but then they lost their most recent game that I watched.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer.
Yeah, I mean they're still 20-16.
I mean they caught up a lot of games there in a row.
They did. I mean they're still 2 games behind on Minnesota. But I mean really those 2 are because Denver's 3 games back. Utah sucks balls. Then you've got Portland. Yep. So, speaking of that, Jahlil Okafor.
Yes.
What do you think of his, I don't know, the last, I'd say 5 or 6 game of just going off?
Yeah, I think it's good. I'm glad he got a change of scenery and all that. I think the funnest story, and it could have ended. I didn't watch basketball yesterday. Was the Bulls are on their winning streak ever since Nikola Mirotic has been back. They were like the worst team in the league, and then he comes back, and they haven't lost a game.
Yeah.
And then he was out, right, because he got his jaw broken by a teammate in practice, punched him. Bobby Portis, I think so it was. Mm-hmm. And their like net rating when they play together is like plus 15 and 100%. Like it's
really?
And they haven't talked to each other yet, but they play really good on the basketball court after this fight. So I think that story is pretty fun. The Thunder have finally, like, on Christmas Day, the Thunder looked so good. They destroyed the Rockets.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was hitting shots. They finally have basically learned that Carmelo's not a big 3, it's a big 2. So the game they lost recently, Paul George was out. So I feel like I'm using that as an excuse of why they lost, but we'll see how it goes. It'll look like they might have turned it around.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see how it plays out.
Have you seen Joel Embiid recently? Draining some
Has he been
3-pointers.
playing? Okay. I mean, I knew he was out a lot lately.
Yeah, so I mean, he's obviously, injured or whatever, all that jazz. But he has been doing pretty well recently with his stats. I watched him the other day on ESPN just draining some 3-pointers. And his feet, for being 7 feet tall,
Very
his
nimble.
footwork.
Yeah. I mean, he's footwork-wise, he's like Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes. I mean, he is.
It's impressive. And no one in the NBA really cares about footwork anymore, so it makes it look even better by comparison.
For sure. I mean, it is kind of impressive.
There is one huge... So we're going to get into this whole... kind of basically what we've been playing, watching, all that stuff like normal.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one news story. You can look up the whole thing if you want. There wasn't enough information yet to make it truly interesting, but I'll tell you what I know. So I've been watching The Office a fuckload. I'm on season 5 since I've been off work. I just was like rewatching The Office in between stuff. So I'm on season 5. Man, The Office is so good. I forget how awesome it is. But something that I think it could be awesome or horrible is they are pitching an Office revival at NBC.
I've seen that.
Where like some people are going to be coming back, some people
Michael
are going to
Scott
be new.
will.
Of course. I don't know, because I don't think you can bring Jim and Pam back, even though I would love to, because them as actors, I don't think are doing a whole lot.
I mean, I want to see Jim and Dwight. That's
right.
To me, that's what I'm looking forward to.
But then they fast forward to where like Dwight was old, right? Or older.
Well, they did it where he went and got married.
Right. I felt like there was a time jump though from that.
There may have been
on the last
I
couple
don't remember
episodes.
the last episode, honestly. I just remember him getting married and Jim saying, your best man can't be younger than you.
But then Michael shows up, he has gray hair, so I guess that's why I assumed they'd done some sort of time jump.
But he was gone for 3 years.
No, he just went on the last season.
Thought it was 3 years he was gone.
I don't know. Anyway, I'll get through them all again and I'll let you know. But I'm a little worried about this Office revival. So...
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. So, yeah, let's see here. Because what's funny is I actually got I'll just call him brother-in-law, a Dunder Mifflin t-shirt because he's a huge Office fan.
Right.
I got him a Dunder Mifflin shirt for Christmas. But I'm trying to...
I got a dope-ass Ender's Game t-shirt for Christmas.
So, he left on season 7.
I think there's 9 seasons.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. According to Netflix, there's 9, but I think the last 2 seasons, was like a season 8, part 1, part 2 sort of scenario. I don't remember.
So
that.
it was 9 seasons. He could have gotten some gray hair. I mean, he did have kids that could shoot that gray hair up.
All right, so something we haven't rubbed a lot, but what I've been listening to.
Mm-hmm.
So Lil Wayne came out with
Dedication 6.
Dedication 6. I just saw before we started this that they put out Dedication 6 Reloaded that has one more song on it.
Really?
So I was going to burn you a copy of the CD.
Yeah.
So I know you wanted one, but I'm going to have to download the one
new
with the extra song, of
Gotcha.
course, and then I can burn that for you. My thought is Lil Wayne's just very nostalgic for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, he sounds close enough to what he sounded like when we were in college.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm like, fuck yeah, cool.
I mean,
I enjoy it.
On my hype songs, because I've been back to working out now for about 3 weeks, and I'd say 75% of my songs are Lil Wayne from sometime during the 2007 to 2012 era of his songs, whether it be, a Carter or a Dedication, or his...
No Ceilings is the best one ever.
I forget what it was, whatever the rock one's called. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. His little rock album.
Rebirth?
Rebirth, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that, but no Love with Eminem, just that gets me going. But yeah, I agree with you. I have not been able to listen to all of Dedication 6 yet because the only way I can is on Dat Piff.
And another takeaway I have is Yoro, who I've only heard on Lil Wayne mixtapes on like his features. I never downloaded like his stuff. He's so good. Like when I hear him, I'm like, I love this dude's flow. I love his voice. He's on 2 songs on it. Mm-hmm. just really like this Euro guy. I like Corey Gunn's on the song, so I like Corey Gunn's a lot.
Corey Gunn's
I still don't understand how he didn't blow up. I think if people cared about like technical rap expertise, he would be like the biggest star, but they
But he
just
kind of
don't.
fell off pretty quick.
Right, they just don't care. Like they just care about cool beats. And then now it's like if you can mumble some shit in an auto tune that's catchy for a day. I mean, I don't get it.
Like that
that's why I
Snoop
don't.
Dogg video of him hating on all the new rappers.
Right.
Right.
And so I guess we'll tease like in 3 weeks we're gonna finally do like a rap podcast where we'll talk about like, when I've rapped.
Yeah.
And the reason I really don't anymore is just that like I used to like get the new Big Sean CD or Lil Wayne CD and I would listen to it and I would be like somewhat inspired. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna go make 6 foot, 7 foot, but like my version, right?
Yep.
But now I listen to new music and I'm never like, get on this shit right here. Because I basically listen to Run the Jewels and their beats are so crazy, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, for sure.
And I kind of like this, I don't even know how to pronounce it, the Ray Serum, however you say it. They have the Black Beatles song and they have a few other songs. I just really like their whole sound, but I don't relate to what they're saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, I really liked Lil Wayne's stuff as far as it being just nostalgic. There are some songs that suck. I really never like, I don't like Lil Wayne trying to sing a love song.
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy that. Now, like, if it's Lil Wayne doing, like, the Grenade remix with Bruno Mars and he has, like, a badass verse and then, like, a singer comes in and sings, amazing. But when Lil Wayne's like, I'm doing all of it, I'm just like, it never is my shit.
For sure.
So when those songs come up, I'm like, those aren't good. But he does, like, DNA, the Kendrick Lamar song, is like the first song on Dedication 6. And that beat's just so good that Lil Wayne will do his typical flow that kind of works on all those sort of beats. And you're like, oh, this is fun. This is cool. Also listen to Eminem's Revival.
Yeah.
That one's like, it's super hit or miss. For like, it starts off where you're like, oh, these are awesome. And then there's some where you're like, ooh, these are definitely made for radio with some crossover genre stuff that I'm just not feeling.
Yeah.
And then there'll be more some where you're like, oh, these are real good. And then they're more like, oh, these are bad. So very up and down. There is one, I'm assuming it's called White Boy. I don't really know what it's called. And his whole thing, it's like, it starts off, it's like, black boy, we don't really like you. And it's like, it's supposed to be like white people, like being racist, right? And then it comes over, it's like, white boy. And then, so he does this whole thing, right? And there's like some rock genre bending thing, a lot of genre bending on the Eminem album.
Yeah.
And he's saying a lot of really good stuff where you're like, yeah, that needs to be said. It's kind of like this white guilt or sort of like exposing racism. But then the whole time you're like, but he's white. And like, why aren't black rappers saying this shit? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then that makes me feel like a racist because I'm all hating on
you're
black
right,
people.
yeah.
For why don't y'all step y'all shit up and do something as good as Eminem's doing it over here? So that's a weird.
It's another issue bringing.
Right. So I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't real good.
Yeah.
Like I respect it. And I read an article before I even listened to the album. I believe it was on The Ringer about how Eminem's song "White America," which I'm sure you remember. How it was almost prophetic in a way, and it was like him warning the fact that like all these white people who follow him religiously, they think they are shunned because like he was doing satire all those years. Like Slim Shady was satire, but the people who were the masses, they didn't get it. They were like, we'll emulate that.
Exactly.
And so like he was kind of warning people in white America, like, y'all motherfuckers are gonna fuck it up because y'all been following me and y'all think this shit. And then now it's like we're kind of in that world that he helped make.
Yeah.
And he hates on Trump all across the whole thing. Bunch of Trump hates. I think he really wants Trump to tweet about him.
I think
That's what he like really wants. I don't know if it's for marketability or if it's genuine. I just don't know. Right.
Maybe a little of both.
Yeah. And then I also went and saw Star Wars yesterday, the newest one.
Yeah. What'd you think of it?
I don't have any problem with like the whole mystery stuff they decided to deal with. Like I've read a lot of stuff of people like upset that Rey's parentage, which in my opinion they didn't tell you. I think it's all, I don't know. My opinion, they didn't tell you. Some people took away they did tell you. So whatever you get from that. There's like some new powers with like they have like telephone calls across space, which I thought was a little strange. But to me, the big thing was the pacing. Like I've always had a problem with Star Wars movies, how they always just start off in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I understand that's like the way it works. It's the way Star Wars movies works. And that's fine. And that's cool in the beginning. But this seems like there was a multiple times where it's like you're just in the middle of something again. And you're like, But what the fuck's going on?
Like, how did we get to this point?
Right, and something about the pacing to me was weird. It was like rushed, but the movie was so long that you're like, how does it feel rushed, but also it's really long? So it was odd. And there was like 4 different times I thought it was the end of the movie, where I was like, good end of the movie right there.
Like, oh, nope,
and
shit,
then
we
you're
got
like,
another scene.
And then they'll be like, so it'll be like, okay, little extra scene here.
Yeah.
You're right, just one little scene. They're going to tease something.
It's like, nope, we got another 45 minutes left.
Right, and it just keeps going, and you're like, that's the end. And then you're like, oh, nope. And then they end up doing that one little extra scene that don't mean shit at the end. So you're like, what the fuck? When's this movie going to end? All that said, I didn't hate it. It was good.
Yeah.
I think Mark Hamill's not a very great actor, and that's fine. I mean, he's never was. Skywalker. But the pacing, like I said, it's kind of all over the place. They, to me, went out of their way to make sure they showed like alien creatures on planets, which seemed a little distracting. Also, I think if I didn't see it in 3D, I would have enjoyed it more. I'm about to do this whole no 3D rule.
Yeah.
Because what I've noticed is I have to go like halfway cross-eyed to even enjoy things in 3D. Because you have to focus on whatever's in the foreground or else it doesn't look right.
Yep.
And so it's just, I don't know. I just don't enjoy that while watching a movie. So I'm about to just be like, I'm just not doing that
I don't
anymore.
get to go watch 3Ds because Jill can't watch them and my grandfather can't either. So
okay.
anytime I ever go to the movies, it's never a 3D movie anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. It throws me off. And then while at the movies, I saw a trailer to the movie they're making about my favorite book of all time, and it makes me so angry. And I've never been a book person, right? So
is it about Ender's Game?
No, Ready Player One.
Oh,
they already
Ready
made
Player
Ender's Game. The movie was great, but no one went and
That's
saw it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ready Player One. The book is so. I mean, it's the only book like I finished in like 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, this book's awesome. It's about video games and virtual reality, and there's like a treasure hunt. It's just a great book. In my opinion, nothing should be a movie. They should all be TV series, like 10-episode run things, right? And this would have worked better that way. And then even if they're gonna make this a movie, I even know where they should break it and make it 3 movies, right? Even though the book's not that big, but you can just see where they're cutting stuff. And like, I'm drawn to the book because the book starts off, it's a fat kid that lives in Oklahoma City in a trailer park. I'm like, hey, it's in Oklahoma. I relate. I'm a fat kid in Oklahoma.
Yep.
And then this trailer starts off Columbus, Ohio. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, just immediately. So I'm like pissed. The kid's not really fat. He looks like a nerdy Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And in the video game world, in the book, he just looks like a little more handsome version, like a no acne, thinner, taller version of himself. Mm-hmm. But in the movie trailer, he looks like a Final Fantasy character. It's like blonde and blue hair, and he's all skinny and looks like an anime. And I'm like, fuck, it's just not how I read it. And like, I understand maybe Steven Spielberg who's making it read it that way. And when I heard Steven Spielberg was making it, I was like, if anyone could, it's him, because he made Who Framed Roger Rabbit that combined Looney Tunes and Disney. And this is going to require like a Back to the Future ride right next to a Star Trek spaceship. Like, it combines everything, right, in pop culture and video games in the book. And so I just watched the trailer, and I'm so pissed already. And I know I'm going to go see it the first weekend, but I'm like already mad. Yeah. And I'm just like, fuck it up. And so that kind of made me upset before I even watched Star Wars yesterday, where I was like, oh, man.
Yeah. Kind of ruined the movie almost.
Yeah. So anyway, video games. I'll try to make it quick because we got to get to all of our top 5 stuff. I got a lot of video games lately. So I had all the ones I've been playing before. I beat Nier Automata the first playthrough. Pretty good first playthrough. Second playthrough, I'm about halfway through it now. I kind of want to go ahead and just go through all 3 playthroughs because I really like the game. But I got Persona 5. I'm about 25 hours into that game, and I'm barely even into it, which is ridiculous. It's one of those Skyrim scenarios.
Yep.
It's like a 100-hour game. It's good. I'll talk about it more when we do our top 5 list. Everybody's Golf, I finally bought. I'll talk about that one again later. So I've been playing that a lot. So I've been playing lots of video games and watching The Office. So that's basically what my Christmas break's been all about, besides driving to places.
Yeah, mine's been trying to make sure that we find a place for all of our boys' Christmas presents and toys, because it is taking up half of my living room currently because we have nowhere to put it, so I'm going to have to pack up half his toys and either put them in the attic or put them in the garage.
Yeah, I also have to buy a bed today or tomorrow, because an $1,800 bed online that is on sale, and I'm like, well, I got to do it because I need a new bed. But it's like, the sell-in's tomorrow, and I have to call my bank to up my credit, my debit card limit.
Your debit card limit,
I have to wait till tomorrow. So anyway, hopefully tomorrow I can get all that figured out.
For sure.
But, all right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back, and we'll do our top 5. We're going to do top 5 favorite TV shows of the year, video games and movies. Some lists might be shorter than others.
Yeah, my video game will be 1.
All right, and we're back. So, Powwow, what did we forget?
As always, if you have any questions, suggestions, or corrections, please email us at thepowwowwithmo@gmail.com. That is THEPOWWOWWITHMO@gmail.com.
All right, so we're doing top 5 lists. I have a bunch of
Yes.
different stuff for the year. We'll try to be quick, but some of them are going to be long for me.
Yeah.
Let's go with your shortest one, which was
Video games.
video games. So what is your one thing on video
My
games?
one game that I've played this year is Skyrim. I do not have much time to play video games. I moved it to my bedroom so I would have that time. However, since we have had our second son, Paul, his crib is in our room. So when he gets laid down in there. And so there is no video game
Well, he'll
playing.
just learn Dragon Shout, so his first word.
Exactly. I don't really want to have him do that. I already had him stay up with me last night and watch Star Wars Episode 1 for a while because he wouldn't go to sleep. But that is my one game this year.
Tonight you need to play Horizon Zero Dawn so you can get 2 in.
Right.
We'll see. I might come over and we'll have to watch Thunder Game.
Yep.
And then after that, maybe if we can get the ladies out. We'll see. All right, so my video games. My number 5, I went with Everybody's Golf.
Okay.
Now, you probably know this series, if you know it at all, by Hot Shots Golf.
Yep.
So when they changed the name to Everybody, I guess it was always called Everybody's Golf in Japan. So they finally just called it that in America, right? Called Everybody's Golf.
We'll be a conformist.
It's fun because you get to make a little you, right?
Yeah.
I always like that. Little animated you person. It's simple 3-click old school golf button. So you hit X to start your swing, X where you want your power, and then X again in like a little gauge for like accuracy. I rented the game the day it came out because it was sold out everywhere in Ada. It wasn't that popular, right? Sold out everywhere. Didn't have a lot of copies. So I rented it, played the fuck out of it for like 2 days, but it was like a week before NBA came out, and I knew I was going to play NBA 2K, so I was like, well, I'll just wait to buy it. It was on sale on a Christmas sale last week, so I went ahead and bought it for $20 on that. So I've been playing that. Super fun. I thought it deserved my number 5 spots.
Heck yeah.
My number 4 went with Persona 5. It might be higher by the time I finish it, but I just started it, like I said, about 20 hours in. The whole concept of it is it's like a school simulation and a dungeon RPG. So, like, you're in some Japanese new school, and it's, like, April 1st, and it's, like, during school, you have to, like, answer questions your teachers ask you, which, when I played Persona 4, I just looked up the answers. I've been trying to just do it on my own, way harder, but I just know I'll probably do a second playthrough. If I want a guide, I can do it then. And then also, like, after school and in the evenings, you choose how you spend your time. So it's like a part-time job to make money and then up some of your stats. Like you have guts and courage and charm and these random stats like that affect how you interact with people. And you can also spend your time like with people, and then you get like your bond with them up, and that affects when you're in the dungeon world fighting. It affects how strong your little like Pokemon like monsters are that they call personas.
Sweet.
So it's a weird hybrid game. It's also just reminds me of old Japanese games. So something about that just makes me be like, oh, it's fun. I'll play it.
Yeah.
And I can play it remote play on my Vita while
pretty
Koopy
sweet.
watches the TV. Because certain games you can do remote play. If it's an RPG, like a turn-based, kind of slower pace, that's fine. If you start getting into something like, you know, it's a lot faster pace, or even like Everybody's Golf where you need a timing to be exact, it's not really makes sense to do that.
Gotcha.
Number 3, got Near. I don't know if it's spelled Automata or Automata. I don't know how they pronounce it. Like I said, beat the first playthrough of that. I'm on the second one. I just really enjoy the story of the game. I think it's really, really cool. It's like you're android people and there's robots, and you're like, some of the robots are starting to identify as certain genders and have mother-son relations, like weird family dynamics. And you're like, but they're robots. And so I don't know, there's something about that game that I really enjoy the story of it enough, and the combat's fun enough that I will play it to, you know, get to the next part of the story. My number 2 game that I played this year, it came out before this year, but I got it and played it this year, is Stardew Valley. which is that Harvest Moonlight game. So you like farm, and then there's also little dungeons. You fight monsters. You can just spend a lot of time, and it's on everything. It's like PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, computer.
That's awesome.
You can play it anywhere. I just think it's a great time killer. When I was first unemployed, I just played the fuck out of that game. It's probably why it's so high on my list. And then number 1 on my list is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Figured so.
It's just, I don't even like third-person games, really, but it's just a great third-person action game. It's fun hunting down robot dinosaurs. You got, like, all these different bows and arrow combinations to take them down. You have, like, ropes to tie, like, bigger ones down, and if they get tied up, they'll fall over and show, like, a control panel on their belly that you want to attack. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot of strategy to it. I think the story's a really good sci-fi story. I've seen a lot of people hate on the story, like, it's not that good. But it's really interesting. I mean, it's set so far in the future that they're back to cavemen people. Make you want to cry in the first 5 minutes of the game because they're real mean to the little redheaded girl. So anyway, I think the game's really good. If you haven't played it, I won't ruin it. Just really think you should play it. My honorable mentions, something I played a lot this year but didn't come out this year, is basically what all these are. Darkest Dungeon is on the Vita. It's also on PlayStation 4, and it's on computer. I just want to mention it because I think Rusty would really like it, and he listens, and he gets on. Darkest Dungeon, super fun game. Until Dawn, which I mentioned, was like the horror choose your adventure. It just isn't new, but it's probably stuck with me more than any game I played this year. And then Rise of the Tomb Raider also wasn't new, but I played it this year. Thought that game was super, super good. South Park did not make my list because it was good, but didn't really have an impact, I don't think, like the other games there.
For sure.
All right, want to do movies next?
Yeah, let's go to movies.
All right, what's your number 5 movie?
So my number 5 movie is gonna have to be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Cool, I haven't seen it.
So I need to
See, I haven't seen the first one, so since that, I haven't seen the second.
Someday
I'll catch up.
I have to give this little brief statement on this. I had to watch it twice, and it's number 5 for the pure reasons I've watched 7 movies this year.
Right.
That's the only reason it's number 5. It's, to me, number 1 was so much better. Some people completely disagree with that, but I don't care. It's my opinion. Volume 2 is just, I don't know what it was. It just didn't grab me like that first one. And maybe I had such high expectations after watching the first one. It reminds me
and like Captain America. Like, I loved Captain America 1, but the second Captain America, I fall asleep every time in the middle of that movie, and I've never gotten through it. And everyone says Winter Soldier is like 1,000,000 times better than the first Captain America. And I'm like, I love the first Captain America. And so, yeah.
No, I hear you. But that's my number 5.
See, I went with all movies that I've seen in theaters this year was what I try to do. But I've only seen 5 movies in theaters that I could remember. And so my number 5 was the worst of those. So this really isn't like a great endorsement. But it's All Eyes on Me, which is a Tupac movie that came out, right? So I went and saw that by myself at like 11 o'clock in the morning on, like, Kubi was out of town or something for whatever reason. I just think I had too high of hopes. Like, I love Straight Outta Compton. Like, when I first saw the trailer for Straight Outta Compton, and it was like, ding, ding, ding.
I remember when you told me about that day.
Chills went down my spine. I was like, oh my God, I love this. Because, like, Dr. Dre's beats are just so good, right? And so I love Straight Outta. I went in theater, saw it, loved it. I was like the only white person there, and love Straight Outta Compton. Go to see All Eyes on Me, which, again, I'm not a huge Tupac fan. When Dom was on here, we've argued about Tupac. But I respect him and all that. And this guy looked quite a bit like Tupac. But the movie just wasn't good. And there wasn't like a whole lot of compelling. Like, you knew he was going to get shot at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to happen. And there wasn't. There just wasn't a hook. There wasn't like this is the plot of this movie sort of thing, right?
Gotcha.
I don't know. So I enjoyed my time going to the movies by myself. Got a big old Dr. Pepper. I had a pocket full of almonds for whatever reason, so I wanted almonds instead of popcorn. And I enjoyed the movie, but afterwards I was just really disappointed in the whole movie. I was like, I feel like it could have been so much better.
For sure.
Sorry, so what's your number 4?
So my number 4 is actually a movie that you are not a fan of, but I've watched it now 3 times. And it's not because I've fallen asleep like I have with Star Wars Rogue One, but it's because I've started to more enjoy it in Suicide Squad.
Yep.
I know what you're saying with crocodile,
Right.
being
I mean,
super
that's
hoodish.
not the movie killer for me. For me, the pacing's just really
No,
shitty.
I agree. And one thing that I know this was one big negative on it for most people is that they thought the Joker was going to be in it so much more than what he actually was. And I do think that does take away from it. But
I just think it's DC's all a big swing and a miss to me
yes,
because like is Suicide Squad the same universe as all the Batman, Wonder Woman, all that stuff? And if so, like the aesthetics just don't really matter. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it definitely was a vibe.
If it was like a one-off and they're like, that's the movie, but now they're like going to try to do sequels to it and stuff. I don't know. I went and saw it in theaters and just didn't enjoy it for whatever reason.
Yeah, the only reason
I think Margot Robbie, is that her name? I think she's really good.
Yeah.
But Will Smith, I don't like in that movie. Like, I don't know.
This is not one of Will Smith's best movies, in my opinion.
That chick from like the Witch Lady,
Yeah.
Black, like that stuff's done. Like honestly, Harley
super
Quinn's
creepy.
the only one that's like entertaining in the movie when I think back to it.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, the Indian gets killed off real fast.
Yep. Yep.
But no, Suicide Squad is. I've liked it more and more. I hope the second one is better. Hopefully they involve the Joker more. I don't know what that's going to be like. But that's my number 4.
Gotcha. My number 4, I've already mentioned this one, Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
That I just saw. It's good. It's good. I think the pacing's weird. I think it's too long. I'm interested to see what happens. Because, like, the Force Unleashed, is that what episode 7 was
Force
called?
Awakens?
Force Awakens, that's it. That was a video game.
Yep.
That one, J.J. Abrams was like, let's just do a plot for plot like the original movie. And then he added all these characters. And in this movie, it's almost like the idea was to clean some up. Like, a lot of people die in this one. And then, like, honestly, they die without much send-off. Like,
Really?
But it was a pretty fun movie watch. So I put it number 4.
For sure. So my number 3 is John Wick Chapter 2.
Yeah, I haven't seen 1 or 2, but I hear they're great.
So I watched John Wick 1 with my brother, and then I watched the second one. It's just, Keanu Reeves is just a badass.
I mean, I love a lot of Keanu Reeves movies.
There are a few things that are kind of, just like with most, action movies that are just like,
Hold on, real quick, because you brought up Keanu Reeves and we just talked about Star Wars. Have you seen that face swap with Adam Driver and Keanu Reeves?
I've not.
All right, so remember the one that had Kevin from The Office and Ted Cruz, and they
Yes.
swapped their faces? You're like, it looks like the
exact same. Yes.
Same thing with Keanu Reeves and Adam Driver. They'll take
Really?
their face and swap them, and you're like, you didn't swap anything. It's creepy,
I'm gonna have to look
man.
that up.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's just crazy because in this one, he's got a bounty on his head. He's in part of this, underground assassins people, and then he eventually just says, you know what? What's his name?
Yeah.
Swear
I hear
engine.
the first one's like kind of just like a pretty linear, crazy action movie.
Yeah.
And the second one, they're like, by the way, behind the scenes, there's this big organization. Like, and then they just add more to the worlds.
Exactly. That's what it is. But Swear Engine is in it. And so he at the end, I mean, if you haven't seen it, sorry about the spoiler, just shut it off for about 15 seconds. But he goes in and he kills this guy in the end in this kind of safe haven of all these mercenaries. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
He's like, you talk shit, you messed up, told you not to do this, I'm gonna kill you. So then they go, sorry man, we gotta kick you out the club. I'm gonna give you, I think he said 24 hours or something. So he starts walking. That's when you realize how large your organization is. When he starts walking down the street and like every single person gets this text message on their phone that, John Wick is out of the organization, and they're all like looking at him, takes off, start running with his dog. But it was a really good movie for me. I like action movies, and him in that role again of just being a badass.
Right. I mean, first Matrix, he's awesome.
Exactly. So, what's your number 3, Mo?
All right, my number 3 was Wonder Woman.
That's actually my number 1.
Okay, we can wait. Same.
Okay. So
Your number 2.
2, War for the Planet of the Apes.
And I never saw it.
So
I saw the first Planet of the Apes redo with James Franco.
Uh-huh.
And I never saw the second or third one.
I
But
am
really
very
liked
upset
it.
that he was never involved in another movie.
But I don't think it made sense for him to be.
No, but I love James Franco, so I wanted him to
Right.
be. That's really my
I feel
only. Personally, that was. I mean,
That's why I went to the theaters to watch the first one. So
storyline, he's not needed, but I think you could have used him in the storyline to make. Because I mean, Caesar becomes more and more, personable throughout.
Right.
But in the last one with Woody Harrelson's just got that swagger of like, I'm here to kill all you fucking apes.
Right.
I don't care who you are. I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
he's great.
He's got that look, but I mean, you definitely it hits you in the feels with how they treat these apes.
Right.
You're like,
Well, I mean, the original one. I mean, maybe it's not. To me, it's just such a view on racism.
Oh, for
right.
100% for sure.
Like, I mean, white supremacists call black people monkeys.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't know.
And you can definitely.
I don't know if it's that literal or not.
You could put the comparison there, but it was a really good movie from beginning to end. 5 minutes into the movie, it hits you in the feels.
Right.
I mean, when the little baby monkey dies and all that stuff, and the Caesar gets super mad, and then you have the white ape that decides to backstab people. But that's when you find out, like,
That's
Caesar,
racist. Why does the white guy gotta backstab people?
and he's the albino ape is the one who does it.
Bullshit.
He's the one who joins humans. But it is Caesar turns into like you can tell like deep down he's got some dark because he just chokes that dude out.
Right.
When he finds him, just chokes that ape.
Well, I mean, he
until
was
dies.
raised in the world where they weren't aware.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So it was nuts, but that is my number 2 movie.
My number 2 was Get Out.
I didn't watch it.
Oh man, super good. So my critique is the girlfriend in the movie is from Girls, and she's super annoying in the TV show Girls. So the whole time I was like really hard to separate that. I'm like, God, she's so annoying in Girls. But the movie's really good. Lots of twists. It's one of those ones where like you watch it, and after the twist happens, you're like, I saw that coming. But you don't really, I don't know if I really did.
Yeah.
Right? Or if it was like, it just worked, it was written so well that once it happens, you're like,
There it
and
is.
then in your mind, you're like, I knew it.
Yep.
But it's really good. I mean, a lot of people say it's like, and I'm sure it is. It was written by the dude from Key and Peele, Jordan Peele,
Yes.
who wrote and directed it. And so I'm sure it is about this whole, like, it's like a black horror movie. Like, what would black people be scared of the most? Mm-hmm. Oh, white neighborhood. But they're liberal people. But yet they seem like they have slave. Like, it's all this stuff. And even as white person's like, I don't even view it, though. I mean, it's just a creepy movie regardless of any of that. Mm-hmm. It's all like, no, even if I was a white dude and I went home with my girlfriend and stuff happened, it would be crazy. But I'm sure it is a lot more impactful if you are a minority, right? And kind of dealt with some of that stuff. But Get Out is just really good. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's in a red box somewhere.
Yeah.
It is really good. And it just, a lot of like subtle acting, like a lot of like subtle creepy shit that you're just like, oh, it's weird. It's weird.
For sure.
And then, they bring in like sci-fi elements at some point, which is always fun in a horror movie.
Yeah.
I think. So, anyway, Get Out, super good.
Awesome. So my number 1, like you mentioned, number 3 earlier, Wonder Woman. I just thought it was a really good movie.
Yeah, it was good.
I am excited for the next one.
I think they should have kept her out of all the other stuff.
Yeah,
Just kept her as pure.
I mean, she's just. Now, I don't understand. Maybe I just don't know enough about the Wonder Woman storyline, but I thought once she got out of that Amazonian area that she would start to age like a normal person. Apparently, that's not the case. Out of that bubble, because in the.
I don't know if she gets to go back or not. I haven't read any comments.
Well, because at the beginning of the movie, she's in current day. Bruce Wayne sends her a package.
Right.
She's the exact same age and look as she was 100 years.
I mean, but she's a god. Or part god. She's like Hercules.
Yeah.
That's
so,
almost
I
the
mean,
best
I guess
way
that's it.
She's the best we compare. She's a Hercules-like thing.
But I just assumed once she got out of that, bubble, that's what you want to call it, that she lived in, that she would start to, age like a normal human. Right. But I guess that godlike factor makes it different.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the backstory. Now, my big complaint about Wonder Woman is the main bad guy. The worst casting choice
of all time. Loved him in Harry Potter. Worst villain.
He just didn't work with like, I'm going to have armor on and be a god. Like, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't care about that little stuff. But like, I remember after them leaving the theater being like, ooh, that was
same
weird.
way. I was like,
Weird.
that worst one.
But
the movie was good.
It was a fun movie. I think all the stuff on the island's way more entertaining than the stuff when she was left.
The island stuff, and just those women are badasses.
Yeah, badass women, Charlize Theron and all them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was my number 3. I liked it. I also liked it a little more because Koopy normally doesn't care too much about comic book stuff, but she wanted to see Wonder Woman.
For sure. Jill loved it as well.
Female thing or whatever. So we enjoyed it. I liked it.
What's your number 1, Mel?
My number 1 was The Big Sick.
The Big Sick?
Which is the Kumail Nanjiani movie that Judd Apatow produced, directed, something.
Yep.
Came out this summer. Now, I'm a lot closer to it in a way because Kumail Nanjiani and his wife have a podcast called The Indoor Kids. They haven't been making it over a year, but like they used to do it every week. And it'd be like, when he'd go film Silicon Valley, he'd be like, I'm off the next 6 weeks or whatever. But they talked about this movie, how like they were working on writing it. And I'd known their story from the podcast of what happened. So whenever I saw this movie, I was like, well, I got to see it because I've invested already in some way. You know, I've watched or I listened to them on their podcast and all that. So if you haven't heard of the movie, basically Kumail starts dating this girl. Everything's going great. They break up over something dumb, like, you know, because he's Pakistani, I believe. Like in real world, he's from Pakistan, and he's playing himself. So, you know, he has like a box of like women for arranged marriages that his mother keeps giving him, sort of thing. And then this white girl finds it and is like, "You're cheating on," like blows up right out of proportion. They break up, and then she gets sick, and someone calls him. He takes her to the hospital. She goes into a coma, and then her parents show up. But they haven't really started dating again. But he hangs out the whole time at the hospital with her parents, who is Ray Romano, and I cannot remember the woman's name, but if you've seen her, you would recognize her, and she's super funny. And so he's a stand-up comic in the movie because, again, it's based on him. So like they go watch him do a stand-up set, and it's just basically him hanging out with her parents while she's in a coma, and it's just him being awkward because he's an awkward guy, right? And it's just a really good movie. Like after the movie, you're like, it's a really good movie.
For sure.
That was probably my favorite of the year.
Awesome.
I want to see Disaster Artist really bad, but just haven't. And then Spider-Man, I think, came out this year, but I never saw it.
I wanted to watch it. I just haven't yet.
All right, so let's move on to TV shows.
Yeah, so my number 5, I watched all, I don't know, I think 13 seasons is what it is this year. NCIS. I know you're not a fan of any like CSI type shows.
Only one. Law and Order SVU.
Yeah, Law and Order SVU.
Every other serialized criminal show, I'm out.
I don't know what it was. It was good all around. I like the story from the beginning, where they've got their little group where she ends up dying, and then you get in Ziva and she ends up dying, and it's the 3 main characters, or I guess you could say 4, with Mark Harmon and Polly Perrette, I think is her name, which is going to be gone after the end of this season. Those 2 really are the main glue of the show. Then McGee is kind of on there, and I can't remember the guy's name. He's now in that Durham show. But it was an all-around decent show.
I mean, what is it that draws you to? Because I guess for me, the reason I don't is, like, SVU is the only one that breaks out because normally their guest stars are, like, trying to do really good acting, right? It's like some semi-famous person that you kind of recognize, and they're, like, trying to show you their range being a rape victim or whatever, right? Whereas in on, like, the NCISs and the CSIs, the acting never seems to be good. It's kind of a little cheesy, a lot of the lines. The CSI work is as just fake. Like, that stuff just doesn't exist.
Yeah, no.
And then at the end, they're just like, we caught the bad guy. And so to me, it's not funny enough. There's not enough plot. I don't know. So that's why I just can't get into it.
NCIS, the reason I like it is because it does have that CSI, but it's not like the CSIs where it's like, we pulled this whatever formula that no one's ever heard of to solve a case, and there's actually a legitimate slow process of solving it, not like, oh, at the end we found someone. Now, this past season where they added Wilmer Valderrama, that started happening where they're like, oh, we forgot to figure out how to capture this guy. Last 5 minutes, we're going to capture him.
Right.
So I guess that's what draws me, because I used to watch CSI until it got way too crazy for me. But that's it. And also just Tony, excuse me, the guy off Durham, DiNozzo, he has so many just like one-liners throughout it, because he's that, stereotypical single guy who's from Ohio State that was a jock, and he thinks he's funny, and he's really just a big baby wanting to have his dad's approval.
Right.
That's really what he wants. But I guess that's my draw, is the way how they go throughout it, and the crazy ass storylines that they have sometimes. I'm like, wonder if y'all got this from a real serial rapist or killer that decided to do this, and that's what you did. But that's my number 5. That one went a little longer than I thought, but yeah, that's 5.
All right, my number 5 is Master of None.
Okay, I know you've talked with the Z's on Sorry.
Yeah. So season 2 came out this year. Season 1 came out last year. I watched season 1 last year, and it got a lot of hype. Like, people loved it. And I was just always like, I mean, it's okay. You know, I just didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't love season 1 last year. Like, it was good, but I didn't understand why I was getting all the hype it was getting. And then this year, before season 2 came out, I was like, I'm going to rewatch season 1. And I just really, really, like, liked it more. And then season 2, I like a whole, like, I just think it's so much better than season 1. Like, him and his best friend have a really fun relationship where, like, I don't know, just when you're watching the show, you're almost always cheering for Aziz. Like, you just want things to go well for him. Like, I don't know. It's really odd to explain it. So, like, his best friend, like, so this season 2 starts off with him in Italy learning how to make pasta in Italy because he loves pasta. And his best friend comes to visit him in Italy. He's this tall, big, white guy. And then they're just all like, eating in Italy is my favorite thing. And they're just singing like this stupid song, right?
Yeah.
At a restaurant. You're really happy watching it. You're like, fuck yeah, good for them, you know, or whatever. And then his relationship with this Italian woman on season 2 really pulls at the heartstrings, or like you just really wanted to work for him. Most of the time, if I remember correctly, it looks like it's not, and I don't even know if it does at the end of the day. I don't quite remember how it ends.
Yeah.
But very much pulled me in a lot on the second season. And you can tell it's made for Netflix. It's not made for a TV show. Like, it doesn't have like a typical problem, fix it, and like it's just kind of is what it is, sort of thing. So I really like Master of None. Put on my number 5, even though everything else I think here came out this year, but that one I really like season 2.
Yeah, my next. Well, actually, I think 3 of these next 4 came out prior to this year.
I figured they would.
Number 4 I have is Big Bang Theory. I've watched it since inception, and I love it.
I just think Young Sheldon, and it's weird, Young Sheldon's so much better.
So
that it has put Big Bang Theory a little less in my book.
So I'll be honest, I hated Young Sheldon when I first watched it. But Jill really liked it, so I've rewatched them again.
Right.
I like it.
I mean, it's easier for me to like something if it is that format of one camera, no laugh track. We're telling a story, not everyone's on a set, pause for laughs, thing of the Big Bang Theory. And the Big Bang Theory, to me, in the last few years, it is just, here's 4 minutes of barely any jokes, commercial break, a few minutes of jokes. And I don't even watch, most of the time I watch them like on CBS All Access, like I don't watch them live. And even with that, like the episodes are like 18 minutes.
And they're getting small. I swear they're getting shorter.
I just don't think it's very, they're making money and that's fine. But the quality of the show, they're not doing anything.
Because I mean, they signed for 2 more years or something,
right?
And I think after that,
Raj has been looking for a woman for goddamn 8 years, or whatever.
Then he got to dating 2 women at once and screws it up. But yeah, that's gonna be my number 4 is Big Bang Theory.
All right, my number 4 is Glow, which stands for the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, which was a Netflix show that came out this year. It had the chick from Community. I don't remember.
I know you're talking about. Yeah,
her name right now. Brown hair chick from Community. She's so good in it. Like, she really went all in onto the role. Mark Maron's in it, and he does a good job. All the women that they get in the show are like really, really good. And then I also like professional wrestling as a kid. So there's part of me was like, oh, I kind of want to watch this. And then they have the documentary after you watch the show you can watch on Netflix. It's about like the real Glow organization that they base this on. I don't know. It's a really good show. I'm sure they're coming out the second season. I'll watch it as soon as it comes out. But it's basically them just starting a women's wrestling organization in the 80s. And then the main character is like an actress. She's not an athlete at all. But she thinks this is how she can break into acting, is because she sees there is acting in wrestling. So like she wants to be the heel. And then this other girl's like the all-American one, and she dresses up like a Russian communist. Like, it's just it's funny, but also really good. So it has a good combination there.
Gotcha. So my number 3, Luke Cage.
Oh yeah, if this was last year, would have been way high on mine.
I've still tried. I've not been able to finish the first season yet. I think there's 2 episodes left of this season. But me and my wife have really liked it. It's just tough to find time to watch that because you obviously can't watch that around kids.
Right.
But it's really a good show for me.
Yeah. I always say out of the Marvel Netflix shows, Luke Cage is my favorite. I think Jessica Jones is the best. I think it's like the best story and all that. But Luke Cage is my favorite. I just really enjoy. I like his demeanor.
Yeah.
As a hero, it's not like he's not like I'm gonna be a hero. He's noble and like just don't fuck with me. I'm trying to live my life, and I really enjoy it. I
really,
like that.
I'm Luke Cage. I'm bulletproof. Don't shoot me.
Right, just leave me the fuck
Unless you
alone.
have that one special stupid ass expensive bullet.
Right.
Anyways, what's your number 3, Mo?
All right, my number 3 is the marvelous Mrs. Maisel,
Okay.
which I mentioned recently-ish. Jewish woman becoming a stand-up comedian. She's super funny. It's an Amazon Prime show, so you have to have Amazon Prime to watch it. Totally worth having Amazon Prime regardless, but this is a good bonus. Just really I'd say give the first episode a try. If you like the first episode, you'll like the whole thing. It's from the creator of Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
So if you've watched Gilmore Girls, it has that certain sort of dialogue between people, like where it's two people in a room and they're talking very fast back and forth. I don't know, like the way Gilmore Girls is. I don't know how to explain it. But because this is an Amazon original thing and it's not something on the WB, they can curse, they can say a little more. They have more freedom, right, to do a little more or whatever. So I really enjoyed it. Me and QB knocked down like a day, all 8 episodes, which she was looking forward to it forever. And it already has a second season coming eventually. So
Sweet.
definitely recommend Marvelous Mrs. Maisel to anyone, especially if you like stand-up comedy.
Yeah. So my number 2 is going to have to be The Orville.
Oh, shit. I forgot all about that one.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember it or not, but
I really like it. Yeah. You're right.
it's really good.
I mean, I don't know if it'd be on my top 5, honestly. I mean, I watch a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, that's my thing is I don't watch a lot of new stuff.
Right.
Orville's real good, though.
Exactly. I mean, my number 1 is been on for 7 seasons, so that's not it. But The Orville is just new shows. It's easily my favorite. It has that Stargate, Star Trek, even though they said it's not a Star Trek parody.
Right.
It is. It's hilarious.
Well, honestly, it's a lot like was it Galaxy Quest?
Yes. No.
The one with Tim Allen.
That was it. Space Quest. Maybe it was Galaxy Quest. I know which one you're talking.
It's more like that than
The guy with the
anything
purple head.
else. Right. It's more like that than anything else that I can think of.
Yeah, and it's really good. I'm excited to see it come back out again in the spring because obviously they're done with the winter break. But that's my number 2, and it may end up moving to number 1 after next year.
Yeah, The Orville is really funny. Yeah, I did not put it on here, but I like it. It definitely, I enjoy I like having a certain sort of show, and it like fulfills that sci-fi genre.
Yep.
Right. So I'm like, yeah, this is fun. All right, my number 2 was Handmaid's Tale.
Yep.
So,
Figured it'd be on there.
Yeah, I talked about that a lot this year. Before we had a podcast, where I watched first episode, I was like, "Holy shit, this is really good," and I kept watching them. It's just a really fun. I just really like the idea, and I guess it's a book, and the book's probably better.
Yep.
You know, I'm sure it is. But basically, the whole concept is there was some sort of civil war. The people who won were like the super conservative rights, who like women now cannot own money, women can't read, women. They're trying to go back to a simpler time. They think it's going to be better for the morality of the country. So like Canada is like a safe haven. People are trying to run away to Canada and things like that. But also in this world, women can't, almost every woman's sterile, and man, like everyone's sterile. It's like you can't have kids. So Peggy Olsen's, I'm going to call her Elizabeth Moss, the actress's name, who played Peggy Olsen in Mad Men, she can give birth because she has a kid. So because of that, instead of killing her, they capture her, put her in these camps, handmaiden camps of women that can give birth. But they're all sluts because, you know, they have kids. So they like mind fuck them basically and brainwash them into living this lifestyle where then they just go basically and live as like a person in these rich people's houses, and then they have these ceremonies where they have to have sex with the men in hope to give these people a kid to their family, but they don't get to keep, because like it's really just messed up society, right? And every episode you're like, oh, now at the end I think it's a little too girl power-ish to where you're like, nah, should have been shot dead, right? Like I appreciate a show that keeps shit kind of real, and I think there are moments in the show at the end where they take a few leaps of like, I don't think she would get away with that in this world, but you know, that's their show. They can do what they want. But once the second season comes out, I'm sure I'll watch it immediately. It's on Hulu. QB loves it. I'm sure it was her favorite of the year. So again, when she likes a show, it's easier, like I'm sure you know, to watch it and get into it. But yeah, so that's my number 2. So my are all like girl power shows this year.
So my number 1 is gonna have to be Game of Thrones.
It did not make my list because I did not like this season that much. But
see, I was liked it for one reason. they finally moved on to saying, hey, the White Walkers should move past the wall. And again, if you haven't seen it, sorry about spoiler. I'm super pissed about how they just took 3 seconds to take down the wall.
Yep.
Now we're done. Let's move on. That was super.
I just hate how quick everything is.
Like,
I didn't like last season or the season before this, and
I
I didn't
almost
like
like
this
that
one.
it's quick, but it's too quick. Like, they took freaking 4 episodes to get 5 feet, and then in 10 seconds of an episode, you traveled half a continent.
Well, see, this is kind of the way I think of it. When we were reading the books, right, it took forever. They're long books. But you read them and you're like, yep, this is the real shit because it takes
that fucking long.
And you got there. And then the show's first few seasons, exactly like, as close as they could have been.
Yeah.
They changed a few things, but not a whole lot. And you're like, yeah, you got to earn this shit, right? You got to earn it. And then the last 2 seasons of the TV show are just all so fast that to me, that's like reading conspiracy. Like when you go online and you're like, well, there's this theory that the Hound is actually the gravedigger in the book. And then you read like all these experts real quick and you're like, that does make sense when it's all quick like that. And so like the new seasons are like, it doesn't seem like the actual ending. It seems like these are a conspiracy theory of what the ending could be in the books. Like and I don't even think the books are ever going to come out. I'm solid in the camp. It will never happen.
Yeah.
But it is just so fast. It just doesn't have any weight to it.
Yeah,
and like the things that people are online complaining about, I'm like, that doesn't even matter. They're like, but Jon and Daenerys, I'm like, motherfucker, Targaryen's been having sex forever. You don't understand this world.
Who gives a shit?
And that's the other thing. If it wasn't so mainstream, like the show's so goddamn mainstream, and these people ain't read the books, and it makes me be like, put in the work. Put in the work.
I hear you. I wish they wouldn't have cut the seasons down. I wish we wouldn't have to wait till 2019 to see the next one.
Right.
But it's still a favorite show of mine, so I've got to put it as.
And I just know that, the book's supposed to be the first 3, and then there was supposed to be a 5-year time gap, and then the story was going to pick up on book 4, and then he started writing, and he was like, people are going to hate this, and then he scrapped it. I just would love to see what that's like, because that would have been so much better. Arya goes off to get trained. She just straight up becomes a faceless man with all the training in the world in her 5 years. And then she's badass. Like, where now it's like you're supposed to believe her hanging out for a couple months, she's this badass warrior. I don't know. Anyway, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch every episode.
For sure.
I just didn't put it in my top 5 because this season wasn't. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it, if that makes sense.
Yep. So what is your number 1, Mo?
All right, my number 1 is The Deuce.
The Deuce?
Yes.
Okay.
It's from the creator of The Wire. Comes on HBO. James Franco plays twins. That should be enough to get you to watch it.
Yeah.
Honestly. But it's based, this place in New York, The Deuce, which I don't even know where. I don't know enough about New York, but some part of New York, right, that's famous. And it's going from the time where there were pimps and prostitutes and then moving it into where they're going to try to make porn videos. So it's like porn's coming a little more legal, prostitution, they're cracking down on a little more. So the first season, they're definitely all in the porn or all in the prostitute pimp side of it. But at the end, you start to see where it's going.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's only 8 episodes so far. Again, it's a dude who made The Wire, so it has that almost exact feel to it. Like, I don't know, like the dialogue's real good. Actors are just really good. All across the board. The Deuce was the show that was like every week of like, well, we got to watch it. Kubi doesn't like it quite as much as I do. But I got really into it. Lots of penises. You'll see lots of penises on this show. So just warn you on that one. But good.
Awesome.
All right. I have a few. The Keepers I watched on Netflix, which was like, if you like Making a Murderer, you should watch The Keepers. It's based on the Catholic Church, kind of like this school system where these priests in the school were abusing girls back. Anyway, that one's really good. Mindhunter, I've mentioned before, I like. Halt and Catch Fire finished this year, and I love Halt and Catch Fire. Just wasn't good enough to make my top 5 there. Westworld was disappointing. I wanted Westworld to be the next thing I loved. I'm gonna go back and watch it again, and I think it still has potential. It just was trying to do so much that it was like, I don't know. I had like the Lost problem where it was like, let's try to throw a bunch of shit out there, see what sticks, and then we'll answer questions later.
And then we're just never going to answer those questions.
Right. And then we watched Ozark on Netflix, which I think you would really like with Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
And then I had Game of Thrones, of course. I'm an honorable mention.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up this episode of the Powwow with Mo podcast. It is New Year's Eve, so anyone who's listening to this will be after New Year's. Hopefully you're not didn't get arrested or anything.
Yeah.
For sure, just make sure you're out there, be safe. I know y'all are coming over today. Hopefully there's not too many crazy people out.
It doesn't start snowing or some
I
shit.
know, geez, it's like freaking negative 10 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's so cold.
But, all right, that's the end of it, y'all. Peace.
Peace.